The mainstream media's portrayal of Christians has long been a subject of controversy, with many believers feeling that their faith is misrepresented and maligned. It's not uncommon to see Christians depicted as intolerant, bigoted, and out of touch with modern society. But why does the mainstream media so frequently get it wrong? The answer lies in a complex mix of biases, agendas, and a fundamental lack of understanding. One of the primary reasons the mainstream media lies about Christians is that they often operate from a secular, progressive worldview that is inherently at odds with traditional Christian values. Many journalists and media personalities hold views that are antithetical to Christianity, and as a result, they tend to view Christians with skepticism and even hostility. This bias can manifest in a variety of ways, from selective reporting to outright misrepresentation. For example, when a Christian organization or individual takes a stand on a contentious issue, such as same-sex marriage or abortion, the media often portrays them as hateful and intolerant. However, this narrative ignores the fact that Christians are compelled by their faith to hold certain beliefs and values, and that their opposition to these issues is rooted in a sincere desire to follow God's teachings. By framing Christians as bigots, the media creates a false narrative that reinforces negative stereotypes and perpetuates division. Another reason the mainstream media distorts the truth about Christians is that they frequently rely on extremist or fringe groups to represent the entire Christian community. This is a classic example of the loudest voice in the room phenomenon, where the most vocal and outrageous individuals are given a platform, while the vast majority of moderate and compassionate Christians are ignored. The Westboro Baptist Church, with its hateful protests and vile rhetoric, is often held up as an example of Christianity, despite the fact that they are widely repudiated by the vast majority of believers. The media also has a tendency to focus on the negative aspects of Christianity, highlighting scandals and corruption within the church while ignoring the countless good works and charitable endeavors of Christians around the world. This creates a skewed perception of Christianity, implying that the faith is inherently flawed and hypocritical. However, the reality is that Christians are just as prone to sin and mistakes as anyone else, and that the church is a complex and multifaceted institution that is capable of both great good and great evil. Furthermore, the mainstream media's lies about Christians are often driven by a desire to advance a particular agenda or ideology. By portraying Christians as out of touch and intolerant, the media can create a narrative that supports progressive values and policies. This is particularly evident in the media's coverage of issues like religious freedom, where Christians are often depicted as attempting to impose their beliefs on others, rather than simply seeking to exercise their constitutional rights. Finally, the mainstream media's misrepresentation of Christians is also driven by a fundamental lack of understanding about the faith and its adherents. Many journalists and media personalities have limited knowledge of Christianity, and as a result, they often rely on stereotypes and caricatures to fill in the gaps. This lack of understanding can lead to mistakes and misrepresentations, as well as a failure to appreciate the diversity and complexity of the Christian community. In conclusion, the mainstream media's lies about Christians are rooted in a complex mix of biases, agendas, and a lack of understanding. By relying on extremist groups, selective reporting, and negative stereotypes, the media creates a false narrative that perpetuates division and reinforces negative attitudes towards Christians. However, it's essential to remember that Christians are not a monolith and that the faith is capable of both great good and great evil. By seeking to understand and accurately represent the Christian community, the media can help to create a more nuanced and informed public discourse and promote greater tolerance and respect for people of all faiths.